good.
When I first got here, there was a whole lot more musicians on the street. And of course, I guess COVID kind of pulled them down.
Sure. Yeah.
They just don't seem like they've come back.
Yeah, well, if we could do American Idol supporting by Trinidad, maybe we could get that happening.
Maybe we
It
should
is
It's
do
a
like
whole
a
other short group that we need to offshoot that I'd like to put together here.
Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to call to order regular session of the City of Trinidad Tourism Board at 9:04 a.m. Roll call.
Campbell? Here. Kress?
Here.
Latrell? Here. Michaels?
Here,
Miller?
Petitions or communications, oral or written?
I didn't have anybody sign up for anything, so we're good, Tom. But I want to interrupt for a
Go ahead.
moment. We have a guest this morning that I'd like to introduce. Our new city planner, Sky Tallman. Sky, from, I don't know who you've met here yet or not, but over here is Chris Miller. He is one of our board members. Amanda Latrell. Cy Michaels, you might have met already. No? Our board president, Tom Kress, and Camilla Campbell.
Greetings, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm just sort of sitting in on your meeting to get a sense of what's going on.
When we're done, can you tell us what's?
yeah, that's what I was wondering. You tell us. Well, we kinda touched base the other night, we saw each other, but if you could like inform us like where you're from and stuff so that people ask us, we're up to date.
Oh
on
yeah,
it.
yeah. So I've just come here. I started this Monday. I'm coming from Santa Fe, New Mexico. So not too far away. I grew up in New Mexico and have been in Santa Fe for a long time. I've been in Santa Fe. I was working with the Department of Transportation for New Mexico mostly on bicycle transportation related projects. So bike ped infrastructure was sort of my wheelhouse there. Before I got into planning, I was a history teacher. So I taught history at an early college high school in Santa Fe. And before that, I taught English in Japan. I have a master's in English literature and philosophy, and then I have another master's in planning. And I'm really excited to be here in Trinidad.
And so how did you figure that Trinidad was a place that you wanted to apply for and come?
Well, I was looking for a new opportunity, one way or another. And, Trinidad's a place where I've stopped a dozen times to, spend a day or take a break on the way to or from Denver.
Uh-huh.
And, I've always thought, hey, this looks like a great city, so.
Well, yeah, welcome.
And I think it is.
It is, it is. Smart move.
I'm glad we finally got the planner.
I know, how
Yes.
exciting, and one that also knows about biking and outdoor recreation, which would be really wonderful.
Approval of minutes for June the 9th, 2021. Did everybody get a chance to?
I make a motion to approve the minute.
quick question on the co-designer lead. That bill's quite high. Does that include like transforming to the new website?
Yeah, and it
Okay.
actually, if you look at that invoice,
Okay.
the notes below will tell you exactly what she spent doing.
Mm-hmm.
So Bluehost research and comparison, she spent an update space to create page, she spent 3.5 hours. Shop and eat drink section, she spent an hour. The migration setup was 4 hours, so that goes into that extra that we approved. She was looking into a refund for a charge and a cancellation process they charged us twice for something they said they were gonna give us courtesy, and they didn't, and then they ended up charging us again, so she's back and forth, trying to get that refund for us,
Okay.
which was pretty ridiculous.
Totally.
Then the migration and the new site preview, she spent 7 hours, and then sending me the information back on the new site and finalizing the migration. So it was a pre-approved, and then she spent 13 hours on the audio tour. So we should have that almost done.
Awesome.
And she said the last meeting there was going to be a little bit more.
Yeah, sure,
It
for
is-
sure. I just wanted to make sure that that's what that meant, that it was the new website. So okay, great.
Did I have a second on the minutes?
I'll second.
Campbell,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Latrell,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Thank you.
Approval of invoices. Any other questions on any of the other ones?
So we have, I know the miles we approved for the Colorado Tourism Office for that big publication. What's the flagship publishing?
Flagship Publishing is Colorado Life. We
Okay.
you approved an additional month because they were doing a Santa Fe Trail
Okay.
special feature.
Okay.
And I had requested whether or not you wanted to run the same ad in that publication alongside that special article.
Okie dokie.
And the outfront is starting of the new contract is this the,
No, this is the final month of the old
so the new
contract.
one starts next month.
And the new legends isn't,
New
Are part
Legends,
of the
actually, no,
invoices,
it's not
yeah.
part of the invoices, that I just,
Now, what is the total amount for those approved invoices, do we know?
the total for all invoices?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't total them.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I know, I just noticed that, some of the rates, so I thought, it's probably about $20,000. And I'm sure that we've talked about all this, just so that everybody's aware.
how much is gonna come out of the budget?
So, did you want me to start totaling the monthly invoices and put that on your,
Maybe when they're just this many of them. Or, well, because I know Code Design really doesn't come out of the advertising necessarily,
does
it comes
not.
out of a different place.
exactly?
So maybe instead of a total on the invoices at like each work session, just to balance where we're at for advertising, if we have
Okay,
this many
so
of
like,
them.
for example, the fulfillment postage does not come out of your,
Mhm.
it comes out of a separate line item. Code Design only comes out of a separate line item. Phillips out front and Mile High will come out of advertising. Mile High and out front come out of billboards. Colorado Life and Phillips Broadcasting come out of advertising. So they all come out of different line items.
Right.
And Marty Julie, I feel you just do a wonderful job. I was just trying to highlight to the group that motion this time would probably be around $20,000.
Just so we're aware. And then, and when we make new decisions for new advertisements, that's where we need to just know where we're at, so we're not going over.
Right, and I did at your last meetings, provide you with the update on the budget and everything, so
Sure.
you should have that, it hasn't changed much.
Okay.
Until the new invoices and stuff get submitted this month, you should probably go off that last figure that I submitted last month.
Okay, great.
Hey Marty, to your commission, do you provide like a quarterly report of a breakdown?
Yes, and that was just what I was speaking to, was that, I just gave her a breakdown just gave the board a breakdown last month of all of the budget.
Do you need individual motions to approve, or can
And
we
all-
We do
all
all
of
approved?
it? I make a motion, we pay our bills.
I second.
Thank you.
Old business, August chamber luncheon canceled.
So I spoke to Nisha and asked her if we were still good to go on the August chamber luncheon because they had postponed that. And apparently the chamber board is being reseated. And so they are talking about doing away with the luncheons, is what Nisha explained. So she's asking if anybody would support the chamber luncheons as they have been conducted in the last few years, with maybe a letter of support to her saying they understand the importance of the luncheons or why you think
Sure.
they should.
Why is she having trouble?
The difference of opinion on the new
Uh-huh.
board.
Oh, No,
So
I
she
think
just
it's-
wants the community or business leaders or something to, if you're in support of the chamber luncheons, if you would draw a
I
quick letter and send it to her.
think from a network networking point of view, that's one time a month people are networked unless they're gonna start doing something at night.
And we don't know why they
Sure.
wanna do it.
No, all she said was the new board that's being seated is, kind of iffy on whether they wanna continue it or not.
It kinda
But-
lets everybody know what everybody's doing also.
Chime in, here a little bit. To me, that's a big concern, because the purpose of the chamber is to bring together the business community. I mean, at point blank, that's really the bottom.
So you might want to contact
Well-
her and voice your concerns,
I will bring it up in city council as well.
just letting you know. But in any case, it has been canceled. Okay?
Key cards.
Okay, if I did this right, each of you should have the new legends piece with all the costs that Cy sent us.
And I got these costs directly from Steve.
From Steve Wharton. To move forward with that, sometimes we bring up ideas, we talk about them, and they fall away. We don't ever make a decision, so I put it back on the agenda for you so that you can decide whether or not you want to go forward with that, if you wanna approve that bid.
So as the person that brought it back forward in front of the team, when we did this before in the tourism board, this was one of the things that really was utilized and used correctly. And it was used correctly because we could reach the people that were coming into Trinidad the easiest, because we had our own little thing that everybody handed them no matter where they were, and that anybody that wanted to do an event and put it inside those key card holders could. So we were able to, so, if you consider 10,000 key card holders, which are probably used a minimum of 20,000 times in 600 rooms in Trinidad, you're probably talking about that the $2,300 performer that shows down there would probably last about 4 months, and so you're talking about $550 a month to reach every single person that comes in the city of Trinidad with a handheld something that you can put something in. So I've seen it before, I believe it's a bang for the buck. I don't know how many things change, but I just put it on the table for you guys.
The only thing I see with Cy is, they want full payment before they order. And my thing is then there's a 3-4 week wait period.
Sure.
I would like to see if they could just start right away and then accept the payment, as the
Or,
process goes.
yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Maybe a phone call to Steve saying that we do want it, we'll put half down and we want the project to start right away. Or
That's-
something like that, cause he probably needs money to pay for those.
Yeah, see, that's the only thing I see, but I think it's a great idea to implement it again. Everybody had a chance to see those little cards, so.
Right, and if they're updated to the events we'll have this summer, we know people are coming, we know people
Yeah.
are already staying, and so.
And
just
we
so
could
have it
decide what we
updated.
want on them, so immediately,
Sure.
Steve wouldn't take it on by himself, he could give something that we had before to Marty, but Marty would be the overseer and maybe one of you to, help Marty in any decisions that need to be made.
The photo that was on there the last time was a great shot. I would urge that we use an updated picture though that has
Oh, yeah.
the correct restaurant
Sure.
there, or just so that it doesn't
Or
cause any
one of
confusion.
straight down Main Street,
Mhm.
and
And I'm
just.
sure we have a photo that is perfect for it
Even
already, so.
one out of the magazine or guide.
We have a huge file
Yeah.
photo, so
Yeah.
if whoever wants to work on this, wants to come down to the office and look through the photo file, there's thousands of pictures in that file.
Or even the picture of the Fisher's Peak one that we
This one
use
here.
for the outside of our booklet, Oh yeah, but again, it doesn't, we have so much great pictures in Trinidad. That's the afterthought. I just still promote it because it was an idea that worked.
And will we be responsible for the events to
Yeah,
to be
and the way
listed?
that we found, since we did do this 3 years in a row, the way that we found is not to actually label July 14th, but instead label the Americana Latin Fest, and not put dates down, but all the things that Trinidad was known for, or put August Blues Fest, Art Cartopia, or
And just
we would
put
just
them
put
on
basic
it,
so
sure.
that we could use them. So in case we had any left over at the end of the year, we could carry them into the next year and that people would just say, oh, it's in June, they always have their Santa Fe Trail Festival. I still have that key card, I wonder what day it is this year, so that they could look into it. So
Even
that's
like,
kind of.
like the fourth, the
Yeah,
Labor
July
Day,
4th,
the
fireworks,
Labor Day,
you know, and that would be one date you could mention, or hometown holidays, Thanksgiving through Christmas, or whatever we wanted, and again, that would be, but there's so many things, but we stopped using dates after the first year, we just started using events.
Okay, and if these are gonna take 4 weeks to process and get printed, we'll have August, September events, which we do have, we have some, we don't have, I mean, we don't have the full summer events, which would be ideal if we had
Sure,
it coming out in May and listed June, July, August,
Well, we
September.
have the bicentennial.
Right,
Yeah.
so we, and
we
we
could
have
go
the bike,
from-
we have the bike fest,
Yeah.
we have
Right.
the gravel grinder,
yeah,
Well, the
Okay.
individual events that are taking place are something we can produce that we can put inside the pocket.
Right,
I'd
there
say
you go.
that.
There you go.
And that is exactly right, and that was the benefit of those, is that we did the ones that we know happen every year. We know that our Cartopia, we know the Blues Fest, we know Santa Fe Trail, we know we have a river walk, we know we have a top 10 9-hole golf course west of the Mississippi. I mean, there's things we know for sure will happen. And then when the events happen, because something's gonna pop up, somebody's gonna come up with an event in November we don't even know about right now. We just take that little piece of paper and stick it inside there, just like Marty has done with our new guides that show the restaurants in the back. Only it gets handed to the people on that day that they're here, so they know that the event is now happening. So it's really a handy tool.
And do we want this key card or this round of them to go all the way until the end of 2021?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Okay.
I would say so.
So you're looking for, you're gonna
We're looking.
be the key on getting it together to Steve, and you're looking for one person to help do that. I'll do it. Okay,
Thanks, Chris.
pull it together. And do we have to turn around and come back for approval the way it looks,
No.
or can we go get it done? Because otherwise, it'll be January.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, no, this is an actual meeting, so we could vote for it.
Okay, so I'll need a motion that, and as you mentioned it, Si, you wanted to approve half up front with the balance paid.
If he would go for that.
If you would go for that, is what I would recommend.
Okay, so just put that in your motion.
Okay.
I make a motion, we go with the bid from New Legends, with the alteration to the bid of half upfront rather than 100%. And if he won't go for that, then
Then,
we start over.
Well, the thing of it is if we have to wait, then it's gonna take a while for him to get the
He-
money.
He'll go for that, he wants the business, so.
Sure.
okay, Kate, we have a second?
I'll second.
Ready for the next one?
Website hosting?
I thought you were gonna take a vote on that. Website hosting migration complete with Bluehost.
So just going to what you were mentioning, talking about earlier, Amanda, the migration is complete. We do have a new web host now, and things are really so much smoother. It's amazing.
Marty and I interject here, we were filling out key cards, there was a first and a second, but I didn't do a roll call.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Campbell,
Yes.
Kress,
Yes.
Latrell,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes,
Miller.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mile High Outdoor Images.
So the images that Jared provided for you at the work session, just needed a vote on those. I mean, you looked at them, you approved them, but I didn't know if you didn't take a vote on them, so, since it was a work session.
Right, and we were going to maybe get a few more images drawn up, or I don't know if that was
We did, we have a total of 6 now,
okay.
I'm not sure if,
I didn't print them,
okay,
because I thought they had them at the last
I looked at 'em.
meeting, right?
I've seen the new additions, yeah.
yeah. So there
Did you
was
see it?
4
I
that
did see the new
you,
ones though.
we dropped off the young man hunting with the gun, we added a water skiing one, a paddle boarding one, and an inner tubing down the river one.
awesome.
All similar look, similar format, just different images.
Wasn't a big
Okay,
fan of the water
great.
skiing.
I wasn't either.
I wasn't a big fan of the water skiing, I'm just gonna be honest. But, But it did look good. I just don't see that many people water skiing on the lake. You know, maybe in the future,
Right.
maybe in the future,
But,
you know.
but when you
Tell them
think
to
about,
skip Pueblo Lake,
Yeah.
right,
come to Trinidad.
when you think about Chatfield and you think about Cherry Creek and
We-
you think about Pueblo,
I had
And
that
they're-
discussion
and
with
they are-
myself that it could be in the
and
future.
they are so congested that it may be nice to see a lake like this where you do have water skiing.
I've been really surprised with the amount of people that have been asking me to go paddleboarding with them.
Oh, we've been,
So we
well,
really
I went on my first
Oh, I
one, so-
saw your picture. I was
I'm
like,
buying
look
one.
at, she never
You
mentioned
could
it.
get
I
hooked
saw
real
that.
quick.
I thought you were kayaking.
Well, no, it was kind of, whatever it was.
She
It
was
in the water,
balanced
I was in the
on
water.
the
Who
water.
knows what I was
Oh, you
doing?
were paddleboarding
I
too?
thought that was just a photo op.
No, it was, that should be on the main cover of one of our books.
Man, no, that'll get, that's a good market segment we need to get in. No, that was amazing, I meant
It
to ask you
was,
about
I just
that.
sat down and I seen that someone just shoved me in the water and I went, well, do or die, here I go.
You must have done good though, you look pretty relaxed.
It was wonderful, it was a
Oh,
wonderful experience.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Do we need a motion?
We're
Motion
gone.
to approve
Motion
all,
to approve.
all 6
Just a
images?
quick question, do we owe him anything for these six images?
$600, that's what you're
Okay.
voting on.
Okay.
That's what we're voting on.
thanks for doing that.
I make a motion, we approve.
And I second it.
Approve all 6 images at a cost of $600, if you could just word
Right
that.
there.
Alright, thank you. Second,
I second.
all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
HOL brochure reprint.
What does HOL stand for, Tom?
I don't know.
Highway of Legends.
Highway of Legends, thank you.
It's been sent to the printer, just letting you know, so we kind of really pushed that
I
one.
guess I better start doing my homework.
We pushed that through real fast so we could have some for this summer because, as I've said a million times before, that is the one brochure that flies off the shelves at the Welcome Center. I've
That
had
is so
requests from the businesses in Levita and Kuchara and Stonewall. They're all looking for this brochure. It's like we're
How many
hurrying.
did you have printed?
10,000.
And will you go through them in a year?
We split them in half with Walsenburg. Walsenburg pays half, we pay half, and yeah, we go through them in a year, sometimes less.
It's such a beautiful drive this year, it's so green. And I
There were
took-
some minor changes to the cover because it's now a National Scenic Byway, so we had to add the America's Byways to the cover. And then we reprinted the inside cover to make sure that people knew that it was reprinted courtesy of the Trinidad Tourism Board and the Wharf.
And truly, if you would wanna really wow yourselves, anybody here, we all know the Highway 12 drive, it's lovely, it's beautiful, it's the smoke has bothered it a little bit in the last few days, but it's a beautiful drive, but the North Fork Drive this year is open, and that is the road that goes right next to the house on the bridge.
Right.
And I did it about a week and a half ago, and it is shocking. I encourage everybody to take it. It is
green.
the North Fork Road, so it's not a road that you normally would think of. So on Highway 12, before you get to the Stonewall area, right before the mine, there's a church, and then right before the church, there's a little bit of a creek, and it's been known, a lot of artists have done it, Maryland, I'm sure knows, has done the house on the river. So it was an old house that was still partying stages 30 years ago, but it's not able to be lived in now, over the river. And there's a dirt road that looks like a small dirt road, but it opens up into a beautifully maintained road. And that green and those hills this year are prettier than anything you'll find in Ireland. It's that gorgeous. I was shocked. I just started down the path just to see how it leaped into Kuchara and what they were doing on the other side. And that pass was, there was no smoke that day. It is so green. I did Highway 12 yesterday with Maggie, and that was pretty. But cutting through that North Fork, oh my gosh. So I encourage everybody, if you're looking for a Sunday afternoon drive, to take that drive, because it's not pointed out on any map. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Do we need to take a motion on that?
No.
Outfront media billboard design.
So just an update on that, we don't need to take any action on it, but the designers and the company itself took a look at your image and he just wants to spruce it up a little bit. So I emailed Chris to get the image for it, and he's gonna send us he's gonna stay with the main idea that you already approved, he's just gonna spruce it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. Was that, background
I
picture?
don't know if he said that was good enough or not, but I'm gonna see if I can find something similar to that with a higher resolution.
Yeah,
They
'cause I
have,
sent
they
the
need a really
highest-
high resolution for a
well, I sent the
billboard.
highest resolution I had of that photograph, but it may be in that, the library of photos that you have too.
It might be, yeah, like I said, if not that one, then
Cause
one
I stole
real
it from
close to
us, from y'all anyway, that picture, so.
Okay.
I mean, I borrowed it, excuse me, borrowed it.
So that was just an update, letting you know where we are with that.
So as soon as they get that, then they'll put it up.
Tom, I have,
And then,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
one other thing that should have been on this list, you were gonna check on, TDAD radio, did you?
Yeah, I spoke with Kirk about it. The reach, I really just don't think that it's the right reach that we're looking for. What he means by podcasts is that he is listed on certain platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts. He's listed on iHeartRadio. So the option for people to listen to TDAD radio is among hundreds of stations or hundreds of platforms that people can listen. But the actual amount of people that are listening, it isn't the reach. I just don't see that it's relevant to tourism and branching out to further districts or regions. I think a lot of the people who are listening to TDAD radio are people who live in Trinidad or people who are in Raton. They're staying updated on local events as well as they do. When Garrett Watson was here, when he still lived here, he was a big part of TDAD radio. He was doing podcasts on space exploration, and I just don't think they have the same reach, especially since he's been gone. But I just the information he gave me was about the same that he gave us. It's that the hundreds of people that it's being reached is only because it's listed on different platforms for podcasts, and it doesn't necessarily mean that's who's listening, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And for $85 a week, I think that's pretty steep for a podcast that's not necessarily reaching outside of Trinidad.
Okay.
So,
That's what we need.
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up.
In your packets, Tom, I included
See
the contract for Miles. This is just for your review. We can vote on this at the next meeting. But I just got this morning, yesterday morning, so I thought I'd include it in your packets. That's just for review, no action right now, just so you can take a look at it.
So we'll save this for the next meeting.
Mhm.
Okay. New business, second quarter grant review. Corazon de Trinidad Creative District. I'll let you have the floor.
Hi, thank you all very much for this opportunity, we really appreciate it, and my request for this grant cycle has to do with Better Angels, the firefighters of 9/11, and we have continued planning since I applied for this grant. We have determined dates will be August 28th through November 20th, and we are thrilled and honored to have this opportunity here in Trinidad. So not only am I here, but I brought the artist who developed and produced this phenomenal exhibit, Dawn Siebel, so she can answer any questions that I might not be able to. We have a spreadsheet started for volunteers to sit the exhibit. Dawn will train any docents so that everyone is familiar with the information. I've spoken with the mayor, I've spoken with Chief Howard, Fire Chief Howard, and Dave Bacharach, who connected us with all of the additional 7 volunteer fire departments in the area. There are connections with the fallen firefighters groups throughout the country, and Dawn can speak more about all of her connections, everything from New York City to Texas to Colorado and those sorts of details. So what kinds of questions might you have? And if you like, I'll have Dawn speak a bit about the exhibit itself and how that has come to be. Excuse me.
Okay, well, I don't actually know how much you know. I moved here to Trinidad formally on January 1st, and these paintings came in their crates with me, and they're one of my storage units that I have. And I felt it's like my present to my new town. That's weird, I get emotional over that. But because I've been with this exhibit for 10 years, I toured it I partnered with the National Fire Organization, the only one in the country that actually is in support of career and volunteer firefighters. And a huge number of volunteer firefighters in Colorado. And I know the reaction to this exhibit. I know that properly promoted, we will be able to get firefighters from Oklahoma and Texas and New Mexico and Arizona and the rest of Colorado. And that they will come here and they will stay the weekend and they will spend money and stay in hotels and eat food and go back to their homes and tell people what a great time they had. And so I think it's a great opportunity for town. I look forward to strategizing more in the future in terms of how to reach out to those. I have a bunch of connections on my own over the years. I'm thinking of having like so maybe a Colorado one at the very beginning before the September 11th opening. And then in October, having like a Texas firefighter weekend and a Arizona, New Mexico firefighter weekend, and do extended hours for firefighters and promote it and have them come up and do an extra 3. We're going to do a 10 to 5 for normal hours, but do 5 to 8 extended hours during these firefighter weekends. These other things you're talking about, the golf course and the paddle boarding and everything, are things that they can do when they're here. And also, so there's other opportunities that are separate from this. This is a real educational opportunity for the schools around. There are a lot of kids who are born after this, and this is a real way for teachers to use it as an educational tool, and also to bring in school groups from other places to come for the day to do this. So I was thinking too about we should also be using it, because we have the wall with the exhibit, but then we have an opposite wall in the space too. And besides just detailed stuff about the exhibit, I thought we could use it with a big map of the county and all the volunteer fire districts, and educate the people here about their fire community, and how it's run here, and maybe even they can volunteer for their local department, whatever. But there's so many other ways that this can be used. This is the 20th anniversary.
So when you hold this, how is it going to be held? What's going to be on that day?
Well, we'll have the reception and such on September 11th. That's the day that Articade holds their parade as well. They've canceled everything except the parade, and we've spoken with Rodney. He thinks it's not the slightest problem, because we'll be bringing people in to see the firefighters exhibit, and he'll be bringing people in for Articade. It doesn't conflict really with time, but once the parade is over, people wander around and look at all the carts and speak to the cartists, as they've been termed. But they also then will be right in the vicinity of our location. I had Bob Just come in. We uncovered a full brick wall in the Creative District office, which is part of the Commons. We were hoping, of course, 2 years ago, that the Commons would be wide open by now. Well, it's not, but we have plenty of space in our Creative District office, and he is volunteering to attach a 2x6 ledger board for us. The exhibit itself is beautifully put together, and it's already in 7 panels covered with plexiglass, so people can't actually touch the paintings themselves. And they have cleats installed, so we'll put cleats on that 2x6 ledger board as well. So it's a matter of hanging them up, putting lights up, that sort of thing.
So there's just 7 boards that have everything in it?
343 is divisible only by 7.
Okay.
So there are 7 rows of 49 columns, and because each painting is painted on a burned block of wood, they're fragile. And so they are bolted through the back to one of 7 powder coated aluminum panels. And each panel is in its own crate, and the crates are in a bigger crate. The benefit here is because we don't have to move the bigger crates. We don't need the forklift and everything, because it's just right up the road in my storage unit. We can just take the individual smaller crates out and put them up. But anyway, they're
And you usually display them on a wall, or they stand up alone in units?
they need to be on something. So when I toured with the NFFF, then we had our own wall that we made, and the backside of the wall was other, because we were actually funded by the Department of Justice, because they are in charge of the disability benefits for first responders. And so they use this to get their word out.
Right.
Will this just be on display just that one day?
No, this will be almost 3 months, so from the end of August until just before Thanksgiving. And given all the other events going on in town, I was thinking perhaps, and because September 11th this year falls on a Saturday, many of the fire events around are happening on that day, including the big stair climbs up in Denver. So I was thinking about reaching out early to the Colorado fire community, even before the opening, to come down before the September 11th, and then to have the other, like the Texas weekend or 2 Texas week. I know so many in Dallas. I mean, I know firefighters that are planning to come from Texas to see this. So in October, taking weekends in October and designating them and doing a reach out to try to get firefighters, because we wouldn't exclude others, but try to bring in. And when I say firefighters, it's not just firefighters, it's the fire community. So they come along with the families and the grandfathers, and they also first responders, because the police are also drawn to this, even though they're not on it, and the EMTs, because they also, bear the scars of that day, but mainly the fire community.
And I think it does 2 things. I think, as Dawn mentioned, it brings people in, from that firefighting community, not only from Colorado, but from all over, the country, literally. But it also then would help to promote our numerous volunteer fire departments, and we're working now to figure out from poster sales, for example. The posters are beautiful, and it's literally the image of these 343 firefighters who died on 9/11, and printing those, selling those, and then sharing funds that are gained from those sales with our local volunteer departments. They actually have offered to help fund this project, but we're feeling that we should be helping to fund their efforts instead of the other way around. The auxiliaries are all in, and they'll help wherever they can, whether it be providing food for opening reception, or training with Dawn to sit the exhibit and acting as docents. So we've had tremendous support from those individual units here locally, and
that is just the fire response to this.
Exactly.
I've been doing this 10 years. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen.
Now, is this just a one-time event for this, or
It's
is
a
it?
one-time,
Yeah.
One-time.
Yeah, because it's a 20th anniversary, so we thought the timing this year would be perfect, so.
Marilyn,
Yes.
might I ask where your advertising is going to be? Where are you advertising?
Oh, goodness, Westward, Denver Post, for printed items, the Colorado, Public Radio, those kinds of places.
The last places was exhibited was a museum in Springfield, Massachusetts. I moved here from Massachusetts. And the local public radio station, the New England Public Radio, they did a really nice little 20-minute talk with me, which I reached out to my friends who did it, and they would be able to make it available to the public radio stations here to run as a thing. I mean, there's just.
I guess what the comfortability factor for me would be, if we're talking about this, the comfortability factor for me is maybe that auxiliary help find out everyone in southern Colorado that was a firefighter that lost their lives, and to work through a program that we salute them. My sister's from New York, and my brother-in-law was the doctor for Ground Zero. So I understand that, but as this being my hometown, I would like to also celebrate those lives of individuals in southern Colorado, and the auxiliary said the help is to get us that information, and stuff for them would be my comfortability.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, the opposite wall, having information to educate us and people here about our local fire and their contributions. And I asked her, is there a city historian? Is there someone who can do that kind of research and pull? But yes,
And then
very much, that would be a great way to use it.
And then even much so, like, the Cokedale Fire Department or the Stonewall Fire Department, to have all those volunteer names on a board, and those that may have lost their lives in fires, that would make the comfortability factor for me, that it's all like, not just that we're supporting, although it's lovely and I understand 9/11, but we just have our local brothers and sisters.
No, I agree completely,
Yeah.
and the thing about the firefighters on 9/11 and the fire community itself, it was a blow to the fire world worldwide. I mean, it affected firefighters in Australia, that 300 firefighters, because they represent all firefighters, and that's what I always mean them to be. Not just even all firefighters, but the title, the Better Angels, it's about the ability of any of us to rise to the occasion.
And I think, Si, your point is perfectly taken, because we have, again, the brick wall on which the display itself will be. And then opposite that, we have, is it 27 feet, I think, or 28 feet
We
of
even have those
blank
boards
wall
that-
space.
So if all those auxiliary women could get together and give us for
Absolutely.
all of that, that's the
Absolutely.
comfortability.
We have photos of the Fisher Peak fire.
Yeah,
I've
right.
got scads of those, and we've got, the Levita fire, and we've got all of these things that would then tie
Yeah,
more into our local firefighter units. And the county is, behind all of this, and they'll help wherever they can. I spoke with Tony Haas, and he thinks it's a great idea. And again, Dave Bacharach is, whatever the local units can do to help, they certainly are willing to.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important part, because as Dawn mentioned, there are so many kids who were not even born 9/11. So it's educational from that point of view, but let's tie it farther into what do our local people do, and who are they, and what happens when there is a fire. I mean, every group, we all know this, every volunteer fire department shows up, regardless of where that fire is. So I think that's the tie-in for us locally as much as anything else.
Dawn, I would like to first and foremost congratulate you on this project. It's really beautiful, and we are so grateful that you're here and a resident now of Trinidad, and you can share with us your talent. I don't know if anybody's familiar with, I think it's the Barnhill Fire in Phoenix, or it's somewhere in Arizona. In Phoenix, they've got this, it's an exhibit in the mall, but it is an exhibit to all the firefighters. It has some of their clothing, it has pictures of them, and it's such an excellent tribute to those firefighters that passed that day, and not just what they did that day, but their whole lives and their family and everything that they did for their community. So I don't know your intentions on your future here, but that could be something that we would love to have you for, is just an exhibit to honor anybody in this area who has lost their lives or who just contributes in a fashion at all. So I don't know if that's a part, that you would want to include in your exhibit, but I just remember going to that. It's in a shopping mall somewhere in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's so well done, and it's well represented, and so I see a tie there. And I love bringing in the local aspect of it. I think that just fills it up and makes us all, it's something that's so far away for some kids who don't see the relatability, but then you bring it home and they say, oh, okay, I see why, how it relates to me and my family and myself here in Colorado, so.
So I have these little.
We have 3 more grants, and I
Oh,
don't wanna be
sorry.
rude.
Let me just throw in one other thing
Just
though,
trying
because
to
you
be
asked for
time.
promotion. So it just so happens that the memorial for union firefighters is in Colorado Springs. And once a year, Colorado Springs has that thing. Last year was COVID canceled, this year it is happening, and it's happening the 18th. So, and I went there several years ago, 10 years ago, when that's where I rendezvoused with and they finally said, we're on board with you. And I go to the hotel there to meet the head of the thing, and there's like hundreds of motorcycles, Harleys, and I'm like, is this a Harley convention? No, it was firefighters that came from everywhere. So there will be, in Colorado Springs, firefighters already called by the hundreds to go there for that from Memorial, that we just then need to bring them right down the road. And I think they would all.
Cory, I've got a comment to make on this. This thing is, to me, could be such a huge event. And I think that what we should do is, I know that Arlocate has their parade, and ask them to do that early in the morning.
Ask Art okay to do
Yes.
that early in the
Early in
morning?
the morning, we shut down the street at around noontime, and all these people that are here, and I think it might, on Saturday, and I think it would be a good time, I'm not sure if you feel this would be out of the ordinary, but to invite the governor down,
Oh, planning
to invite our legislators down here, so that, and shut it down, the street down, and let them speak to the firefighters. I think that would be something to work with the chamber, I think.
And I would only add that, what we don't want to do is take away from
Right.
events that are already in place and such, so, I think that should be up to Rodney and what they decide to do, but absolutely.
Is the 11th on a Saturday?
It's
It's a Saturday
yes,
this
it
year.
is.
I wanna make one comment too, listening, I mean, everything is great about bringing the firemen, doing local, everything else. It is a tremendous tourism deal too, because I have two nephews, they're both firemen in Texas, and that group, they do things together, they travel, they vacation together, they are probably one of the strongest industries of being a family together. And they go to things like this, and if it's up here, it's gonna draw a lot of tourism that may be, all
And they'll
firemen,
go
but
back
it's
home
gonna
and
draw
tell people.
families, and
Yeah.
they'll go back and talk about it, but it comes at a time period because of the bicentennial on the Santa Fe Trail, because of, everything that it hits in the 2-3 month period, it's gonna be just another boost to add, to build our numbers in tourism this fall. It's fortunate we have a lot of things going on, because this fall, everybody's gonna be back. I mean, they're coming back now, but it's gonna be fuller, so I think as a tourism aspect, it's fabulous opportunity.
I just think that that particular day, being it's a Saturday, and the numbers, the possibility of the numbers, having it just inside for them to tour book, I think we need to shut the street down.
Oh, yeah.
To allow people to be.
I'll get in contact with Rodney. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, and it's a lot to do in a couple months.
So just because we need to be cognizant of everybody else's time.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Thank you,
Sorry,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much for
Thank you, and thanks, Dawn, for moving here and for bringing that here.
Yes.
And I have not seen the collection, but I did see a little of her artwork with her animals, and she is an incredible artist, and we're really lucky that she's here.
And I did include some links also, so
Okay.
you can just,
Okay.
Better Angels, and
Okay.
you can find it online too.
So Tom, if you wanna go over each application and then the
And then we'll-
presenters can,
Yeah.
we can dismiss the presenters and then you can vote on it?
Okay.
Thank you. So
Whitefield,
Wally's not here. Can we move Jared up?
Yes.
Thank you.
we did last time.
That's right, I appreciate it.
Office of Outdoor Recreation.
What does he want?
What does he want?
We're going, show me the money, baby.
What do you
Show me
want?
Want Jared?
What, Jared?
So the purpose of the grant proposal is to request funds to developing marketing assets for the Office of Outdoor Recreation as we begin to become more visible outside of the community. I'll be attending the Outdoor Retailer Show in Denver on August 4th. There's the Coils Colorado Outdoor Industry something symposium will be coming up. Just begin to make a presence. Those marketing assets will be used to promote the Office of Outdoor Recreation, the City of Trinidad, and then our outdoor recreation assets to hopefully the world, but definitely outside of Trinidad. And so that's requesting those funds just to develop those branding, marketing assets, whether it be similar to what was designed for the billboard, but just to have those available so we can start moving forward and promoting.
Just like Phil had brought up that we brand True Trinidad, I would like that to stick, you know, that we do that on all of that.
100%.
Yeah.
Trinidad True Outdoors.
That along with our logo, Trinidad Tourism logo is two of the most important things to me anyway.
Absolutely.
You
I
know,
like that, I like a good model.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it, Trinidad True Architecture, Trinidad True
And just like
Music.
Just like Marty had brought up, that logo for the Highway of Legends, that their logo is put on everything that they advertise for, you know, and that's important.
I agree. I think that consistency, that brand identity, constantly being pushed out in everything we do,
Right.
makes it, lets everybody know who we are.
Any other questions? Sure.
This might be a not right thing to say, but I'm just curious if if we're trying to brand the idea of the Trinidad True Outdoors, if we add other logos to that, is that distractive? Is that taking away from the idea of True Outdoors? Do we necessarily need the tourism logo on there?
Yeah, it's
It's
It is.
actually, you have to, it's part of
It's
the
part of
grant
our-
application.
I just
So
worry that if
any
we
kind
have
of
a mug
marketing
that has
Well-
Trinidad True Outdoors and the Trinidad City and the Trinidad Tourism logo, it's
Well,
like,
that
what
could-
am I looking at?
Yeah, and I understand exactly what you're saying, but that could be put small on the bottom of the page,
Okay,
you know, like
okay.
supported by the arts, and you see that
Sure.
happening. you know.
Okay.
Not
So-
that it's the big symbol on the
Sure,
side,
right,
but just the
right
small,
next to each other.
right.
Just-
Small
just-
Well, and some of the materials will be, I don't think it would work to put anything besides like, something Trinidad Office of Outdoor Recreation. I think that should stand by itself without having any other additional logos, because that's what that'll be like a design. But if there is something that goes then into marketing, whether it be radio or whether it be print, then those other logos would be appropriate. But as a standalone design, I think there's some things that should just be.
Right.
The design
just-
itself,
I-
for sure.
And the idea and the directors or whatever, when we did that logo, is it's supposed to be just like everybody gets used to what the Nike symbol is. Everybody knows what an organic symbol on a piece is. So that all of a sudden, if you're flipping through a magazine, but you're not really looking for Trinidad, but you like Trinidad, you don't notice the article away, but you notice the icon, like you notice the Reebok symbol or the Nike shoes, and you like to look at, oh, that's the new pair of shoes. Is that if you see that symbol and you like Trinidad, then you go, oh, that is about Trinidad, and that is really the purpose.
And we're not asking for it to be bigger than the ad
No,
itself.
for sure.
You know, just
Right. And I
just
think
the-
you just made my point right there, is that if we're talking about a mug, or we're talking about a small graphic design, it doesn't need to be on those mugs, it needs to be in the print
Right.
format, it needs to be
Right.
listed in the correct and in the right places.
And
Okay.
you're talking about just
Yeah.
the little,
Yeah, the tiny, like actually in this one that, the booklet Marty gave us on Raton, there's a real tiny symbol up here. But it could be a little, even a smaller
All it has
symbol
to
down
be
here.
is the symbol.
It's just the symbol, and it's just
And it doesn't have to
branding
be the
you,
letter.
so if all of a sudden we come up with another slogan that we like better, I can't imagine that. But like in a year or two, and you're used to it, and you're flipping through a magazine, and you notice that symbol, you go, oh, that's about Trinidad, and then you stop and read it.
Yeah, I totally.
how long have we used this one?
Oh, that was just recently designed by a company approximately 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
And
that's not the symbol, that's not the
That's
complete
just the
symbol,
letter.
yeah, that's the, where's that page again?
show my ignorance, what does it represent besides the?
It's actually probably some cornice work off of one of the buildings.
And art, so
It's
different
the,
colors.
it could be in the metal, or it could be in the stonework itself, you know, how the stonework is carved. So it could be part of either one of them.
Creative, architectural, district,
But you say this is not the correct one?
well, it's more like this than that, but if they're close, they're the same thing, really, but it's just that's a letterhead version.
More like that. Alright, just,
Yeah, and we don't know right from wrong, we did pay, good money to have it researched and then come up with something creative and hip, but still based on architecture, and that's,
It's part of Trinidad, it's part of the architecture of Trinidad, you know, we have,
That's-
and
but
color
that
and
has to be-
creative.
but nobody in this room designed it?
No,
I didn't want everybody's feelings.
No, we paid a company, well, was it Sixtus, the ladies, was it, I always say sixes, it's not sixes, Studio Six out of Durango or
Out of Denver.
Out of Boulder designed
I
that.
just didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but that doesn't say anything to me, and it never has. I understand what you're wanting to do, and y'all like it because you went through the work with it, but almost something like Trinidad True, just the two words, with a font, something that's regular. I'm getting a head shake over here. I mean,
Sure.
right now, if we keep pushing this one,
Well, that's what we have.
I know.
That's what we have.
So we're
So Trinidad True just came up in the last meeting.
I know.
So-
That's why as long as it takes us to make any changes, I would just like some thought
Right.
on the group of
And
maybe
we-
something that somebody from Amarillo, Texas, that looks like me might be moving here,
Yeah,
and he has no idea what the hell that is.
well, there are two symbols, they did that at the same time, the city symbol changed at the same time, so there's that new city symbol, they did both of them. They did the city symbol, which
That's
is
right on
more,
the
which is
nameplates, I
more
believe, right?
political.
That's the
That's
It's more
the old one.
official.
Yeah, that's the old one, the
That-
one that is
like
sitting next to,
letterhead.
the one on the wall is the old city symbol, and this was the new one that was designed at the same time, and this would be used more for political, clean cut,
It's like a Stacy
legal,
or
so
a
this was
Sunday
legal and
symbol
that
or
was the
Stacy.
creative one.
But that's got a different representation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And what do we have in Trinidad? You know, at the time, we didn't have probably a lot of activities going on, but we had a lot of like buildings that had these things on.
And the creative district was interviewed for some of the symbols, people were, and I think they wanted something wacky and colorful or something that goes on.
I will say though that we don't use this.
Yeah, no, I know you don't, cause it's a different entity, but the people that did that were under contract, and they interviewed people and it wasn't, and we didn't have any ideas that we gave them.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on.
I may bring that up occasionally because
Yeah,
I would like
absolutely, absolutely.
because
Any other questions for Jared?
And Chris, absolutely, it's just that maybe sometime in the future we're willing to tackle that. That is a tackling in itself because it's not done easy, it's people, they interview people.
Okay,
I don't have any questions for you. I think it's
Thank you.
great that you're making a brand
Thank you.
for the outdoor recreation.
I
Thank you.
appreciate your support,
Right.
thank you.
keep going.
Thank you, Jared. Take it easy.
Okay, so with the new business, does that mean since Wally isn't here, we need to make a motion on the creative district and on the outdoor recreation?
You need to vote on all three of them,
Okay.
whether Wally's here or not.
They're gonna be dismissed and we're gonna vote.
Okay.
Are we
Thank
done
you all.
with
Yes.
this?
Thank you.
Thank you,
thing?
thanks for coming, you bet.
You got those? Thank you guys.
Thank you.
You bet. See you.
Thank you, Marilyn, thank you, Dawn.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
So did we go through, we still need to go through it though, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
We need to go through them, yeah, that's why we're
No, we need to go through.
Go through the Calexico. Okay, requesting 10,000. It's the year's first festival. I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm thinking I'm gonna make my homemade bacon spaghetti for the contest.
Whoa.
I know, that's pretty
kinda-
Western, huh?
I'm kind of disappointed that none of us, the tourism board, didn't get any of these books. And we gave them money both times.
For what, the
We're-
Southwest
advertising.
Chief?
We're on the Southwest Chief.
Where?
Because we have to go over it.
What about Southwest Chief? I don't understand. What-
Well, it's
We
part,
have-
it was all
He's
part of
not
it.
here, but we still have to go over it.
Yeah,
But the grant is for the Calexico, not for Southwest Chief, so why would we discuss that?
Right,
Is my question.
right.
That's old news, this is what we're discussing right now.
okay,
Right.
well,
Okay.
I wish he was here because I have a couple of questions for him. Like if he's asking any kind of money from New Mexico, and we don't know that.
can we
Maybe-
table his till he can
Can I
come
table-
and
yeah,
answer
can we
questions,
table
because I have a lot
I
of
think
questions.
we should, I think that that's
Because
the
that is
practice.
a good point, if he's taking any money from New Mexico too, what it is on the advertising.
I think we
Just a
could,
couple things and where he's advertising.
I have a few questions myself.
Yeah.
Because that's a big request.
That's a big request, and no offense to this, but the bipolar chief, it does have combinations of the two of them. And we never got in any of these books as advertising, and we wanna make sure if he does another book like this, we are in advertising.
we're not in this book at all.
No, neither one
No,
of them.
I went to both of them.
No,
and
nothing.
So far, we've given him $15,000.
And we
For
haven't,
2
we haven't
years.
seen anything.
One for the first one and one
Did
for
we
the
make an
second.
ad for it, or?
Well, here's my question. If he's selling ads, part of our money should go towards an ad.
Right, but if we didn't
Right.
give him anything to put in it, he also didn't have anything to go from.
And he
even if
did ask,
But one of the things of the grant is our brand
and it's not.
Sure.
and tourism.
Right, and that should be
So,
included, but
right,
right, if we didn't
so-
give him anything, well, and that's just a question for him, so how about, I'll make a motion that we table Calexico?
And,
Come back
and
to
I, the,
and
the
invite
one
Wally
thing I
to come
wanna note is too, from Arcade and Trinidad Blues Festival, we always get where they are doing ads.
Mhm.
And we never got anything from Wally, and we requested it, and he did say that it's in the works. He will get that up to us, and we never got it.
Okay, well,
And I would like to table it.
It's
that.
just big.
yep, things
Well,
happen,
we
you know,
have two
I
choices, we
understand that,
table
and I
it
think,
or disapprove it,
Disapprove it, yeah,
and that'll make him have to do something.
yeah.
But I guess the motion's been made to approve it,
to
table it.
table
I
it
have a
second.
and invite Wally back to
Did you
discuss it
second?
further.
I did second.
Anybody want a second?
What do you want to do? You want to vote on it? Or you want to table it?
I don't see
You
why
just
we
need-
would, I don't see why we would disapprove it if he's not here. I know that he was probably supposed to be here, but this is an event that's, I think it would be doing disservice to just count it away. don't
Well,
think
I
that's
would
right.
like to make a motion to approve $2,000 to him with receipts.
I disagree. I think we
Okay.
need to, I think we really need to get him in here and get
Yeah.
some questions answered before we make any
And
decisions.
the motion's on the floor for the,
And the
Yes.
motion's on the floor
Motion
for
on
the
the
table.
floor to table.
And like for further down the road, if they can't be here, I think maybe we should always reschedule it.
Usually we
Unless-
do, I
Right.
don't know of a time we haven't actually.
Right, and he was here for this one this year, so maybe something came up. I think we just need to take a breath and table it
Did
and
he
come back to
let
it.
you know that he wasn't coming
Yeah.
for this
I
one?
totally open
I
to meeting
got an
next week,
email reply that said he was out of town.
So he was,
So we knew he wasn't going to be here. Okay,
I
then
didn't
let's,
know.
I didn't know, so let's table it. I think that's the right move to make.
I need a second.
I second the table motion.
Thank you.
All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Thank you.
as far as the
okay, so
other
now we
two,
can vote on the other two.
okay, so,
So does any, we'll start with Chris, you have anything to say about the Corazon Creative District?
I think it's great. I think that is a market that I do know just from experience. That industry, they're very close bond for obvious reasons,
Okay.
and I think it's I think it's good. But
Thank you, Chris. Amanda?
I agree with Chris. I think this is something we haven't had here before. It is emotional, it is raw, it draws people to the heart, and it pulls on their heartstrings, and I think that is another addition to making something memorable and making a town and an experience somewhere new very memorable, so.
Thank you, Amanda. Camille?
The only, I totally agree. The only thing in is her advertising, 1,500 marketing and advertising, totally agree. Printing, totally agree. The $700 lighting and $300 reception. I don't know what that entails, and I guess maybe I should have asked them when they were here.
Sure.
But I'm totally okay with the other two.
So maybe we just drop that number down to 3,000, that would be the marketing
You know, and
advertising.
I didn't know about the lighting and reception.
We'll
I
just go around the table.
Okay.
Seth?
Yeah, I
totally agree.
I have not picked up those figures exactly, I don't have any problem spending the money. I do have a little bit of a problem, it is emotional and raw, and my brother-in-law was the doctor, ground zero doctor, and so it was very raw to my life, is I don't wanna do it without also increasing all the other southern Colorado firefighters who have lost their life and giving tribute to to the local volunteers and all that, and making sure that that's done, because they deserve that respect. I don't want to, and 9/11 was horrid, and what they went through is horrid, but I don't want to feel like I'm marketing for people to come just at the expense of what happened at 9/11, which was very raw and real. I wanna make sure that we treat everybody in our area, our brothers and sisters, like I had said before, with that respect, with their names on the wall too, what they do for us all the time. When the Raton fire happened, I remembered when I had the old Holiday Inn, the fires out in the canyon out here, we had loads of firefighters that would come to the old Holiday, which is the Quality now, just to take showers once every 2 or 3 days. You know, I really wanna make sure that we also include them.
I agree, I want to bring that in, I think that's what they're
They
planning
are,
to
and
do.
they have a lot of support, so.
In the event that the mayor was talking about too. with
Yeah.
The governor and stuff, I think, it's all gonna wrap it in.
Yeah.
For sure. And we could put that on the motion, maybe just make a contingency that we do include local firefighters,
Yeah.
that there is an
I
addition
think they already
to,
had to have that
sure,
thought in
that
there.
they're thought, they're
But
My-
you're
in
right,
that,
we should
in that
motion
direction.
My thought is the same way. And to me, I feel it should go under the first time grants. We have
Sure.
$5,000 in that
Yes.
first time grants.
Definitely.
And I would like to see us give them the 4,000 because these are the things that we're looking for. We're looking to support something that's gonna bring people to Trinidad, and I do believe that this is gonna bring people to Trinidad. So I would support the whole 4,000. I think it's something that we're looking for. We're looking to bring people to Trinidad. And those people may keep coming back. So that's my thought.
Oh, we're such a cool town, if they come here once, they'll come back, so we just gotta get them
Can
to.
I give you an opinion? I really believe that, and like I said, I'm not sure what other funding they have available and, where it's coming from and the dollar amounts that they have. To me, that $4,000 is just minimal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I
If
know.
it were me at your table, I would increase it.
Yeah.
I would
Well-
increase another $500 or even $1,000.
But the only thing on
She
the
has to
lighting
find
and
out,
reception,
though.
I could dump that and put an extra $1,000 to recruit locally. Even though we should do locally, but I like to do
maybe
that.
we could, if we do drop that, then I do feel that if they just take that money and do the advertising farther, take it, because go as far as they can. But I do believe that it's an event
Yeah.
for Trinidad that's gonna bring people.
Yes.
The woman that's done the arts, she knows. She
And
knows
she's
what
very
it brings.
emotional about
And the
it.
connections that she has. So, to me, I think this is what we're looking for. This is to bring people to Trinidad. So
I agree. I totally agree.
support the full 4,000.
I make a motion that we approve it with the full amount.
And I second, okay. We're on board.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And Dawn's not getting anything. I don't think, she's just,
I don't know if
No
she
one
gets
does
any- I
follow
don't know
when they do
I
stuff
don't know
like
if
this.
there's any resale of, copies and stuff, and I don't really know if we care about that or not, we're just really looking at it as
I mean, there's very, very often you have someone come with this to a city and willing to share it. So, here's our chance
This
to
is
share.
kind of like, if you really look, this thing is kind of like the Vietnam Memorial
Mhm.
thing that,
Yeah.
goes around. This is similar.
Right.
I agree with this.
I agree.
Okay, can we do office about our rec?
Yes. So-
quick thought, do we not have, cause I haven't been to the children's museum.
No.
Yeah,
Do
it's.
we have anything that does what you're talking about with all of it?
Well, that's a really good question, so there is an old fire engine in
The
there.
problem with that, we discussed that just this week that we have, with that is that ADA compliance. It's an issue to get people in with ADA
Yeah,
compliance.
but that is a really good idea.
It's a good idea.
Because
To
maybe,
open up the first firehouse in the state of Colorado, which is what it is, with that collection is pretty special, now that you mention it.
Check with, I would,
That's a pretty special thing.
I'll check with Bob Just and check with Mike Valentine.
First firehouse in the state.
We any issues by opening that up, but
Now,
that's
is
a
the
good idea.
is the fire truck in there?
Yes,
No, what if they just pulled it out and opened both ends?
yeah, just open the bottom floor where you will walk right in, and since the place right next to it, Paradox has made that ground go up there, it might be ADA compliant, but that is an excellent idea. to
because
open it.
what is being done for the locals, the names and all that stuff, can be then kept there
Yeah,
permanently.
right.
no, that's a great idea.
If when this exhibit goes away, then,
And,
certainly.
and to advertise the first firehouse in the state of Colorado, that is a great idea.
Okay, I'm gonna move on.
Okay,
Office of Outdoor Recreation.
I think that 3,000 will probably get him pretty stocked up on merchandise, swag, as he says. Stickers, mugs, t-shirts,
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I
don't
make a
actually even
motion
know
to
if
approve
that's
the
enough.
$3,000.
Oh, we can.
Kind of created a department and didn't give it a budget.
Yeah.
He's kind of
Yeah.
reaching out for some help.
For sure.
That's
I was gonna ask you to sit
Can,
next
can
to
we
you.
take, can we take this $3,000 out of the advertising since that's what he's using? part
Or
of it
rather
for?
than an event, sure,
Rather than
right,
events.
or other contract services.
Right, I think that's where that money should come out of.
You're gonna, we'll talk about how we're gonna have to input some money in.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
that's
That line, we have to borrow from Peter to pay Paul, but
Right.
there's some areas that we can take money out of
Right.
contract services
Okay.
and move it
Well,
over,
but I
move the
believe
lines
that's,
a little
but I
bit.
believe that's where that should
You're
come
right,
from.
it is.
Yep, it's
Yeah, I
advertising.
agree with you on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the 3,000 for Office of Outdoor
I
Recreation.
did already.
I say we pull from, or include it in an advertising budget rather than grant
Right.
cycle.
And I second it.
I think what you need to do is you need to amend that motion.
Oh, me amend that first motion? Okay, I make a motion, I'm gonna amend my motion to approve the $3,000 and move it from the grant to advertising.
I'll say.
Alright,
And I'll say,
and, okay,
I'll second.
sorry.
yeah, that's okay, that's
All
great.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Other items of discussion?
Go ahead.
I accepted a third grade teaching job yesterday.
Where at?
So,
Yay.
I'll be in Raton.
No
I'll be driving
kidding.
across the pass, but it was one of those things that came to me. It was one of those things where your gut just feels right about it, and the teachers are great. They seem very supportive and knowledgeable, and so my last meeting with the board will be on July 28th, that next meeting. I do have a few people in mind that I'm making rounds to talk to make sure that if they're interested that they can, and I'm really thinking of the restaurant perspective. That was my addition to this board, and I really wanted to replace it with somebody who has
Well,
a
thank you,
similar
I appreciate that.
mindset of that for
We'll
sure,
miss
so,
you.
of course,
great.
it's been a pleasure
Well,
to,
I
I've learned
must
a
say
lot.
Trinidad missed out on you if you're going to
Yeah,
that town. Sorry.
that's the only part of this I'm sad about.
That's the only
You
part
know,
I'm
it's
sad
well
about.
if you just stay locally, you're a little localer.
You know, and I understand that too. I have made the applications, but it just wasn't the right fit. And I think that going into teaching, being in my first year, I need to make sure it is
Oh,
someone
that's a
that is
good idea
very
too.
supportive and very,
What do you teach?
third grade.
All
Just general
subjects.
everything.
General, yeah, everything, so.
And I wanna thank you.
Congratulations to
Thank
you,
you.
I know
Miss
that's what
Boswell
you're
was
about.
my
That-
third grade teacher,
Thank
she's
you.
the only one I remember from
She's,
elementary.
they're
And
the
all
best.
those kids
Third
are
grades
very lucky.
Thank you
And
so
I wanna
much.
thank you because you've been a shot in mine.
Thank you,
Positive.
I appreciate it, thank you so much.
Beautiful, good luck to you, you had a tremendous input.
Thank you.
That's.
I'll find you guys somebody good, I promise.
Okay.
I'm on
Oh,
my.
let's caveat it, you can't go unless you find something.
That's what I read that about boards, that you should never choose to leave until you have your replacement, and so
There you go.
I have about 7 people in mind that I'm going to reach out to in the next week, and hopefully they'll come to you and they'll be a good fit as well.
Awesome.
So, yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'll
Thank you,
see you
Amanda.
at our last meeting together, and
Anything else?
I wanna bring one thing up, and this was, Marty, have you had any further discussion with, the chamber, with, Nisha, about the Action 22 event that's coming up?
She contacted me and wanted, I had sent an email to Sarah
Blackhurst?
Blackhurst, cause she had wanted assistance with, booking rooms and using the trolley, and she never responded. But Nisha sent me a text message yesterday saying that to contact her to make those arrangements.
And I think something that would be, and I'll talk to Nisha a little bit, I want to talk about that other issue about chamber beaches. But I think that, events, for that day that they're going to be here, I think promoting this firefighters thing.
This will be this is the event that's taking place when Action 22 is gonna be here.
Right, but then this will also be on display, so I think it could be included with that.
Oh, that's right, you're right.
So it's in October, so I think that that would be something else to draw the people, because the people that will come to the Action 22 are city managers, probably some politicians, and I'm sure there will be board members or council members from other communities.
I will mention that and we'll get it on their agendas.
Okay, adjourned. 10:17. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. How did the trolley and the art walk go last week?
He had 6 riders.
Yeah,
6
we
riders
were there.
all day? Okay.
We'll see you guys.
Bye.
Good job.
Thank
Take care.
you.
All right, bye-bye.
Big weekend.
Oh,
The art walk isn't,
it is.
Not doing as well as
It's a
it,
crazy
yeah.
weekend.
no.
Yeah.
And you know, to be honest with you, last week when the art walk was took place, it was very quiet in Trinidad.
It was freaky quiet last
Very,
week.
remember, you.
I mean,
It was freaking quiet.
It was like
Not
ghost
compared to what we
town.
usually
Yeah.
have. No.
It was crazy.
I've had 2 farmers markets, which is
Our
my limited
farmers
stuff.
markets kick butt.
I did better both weekends than I did the 3 years before.
Our farmers market has been, the people down there have been kicking butt.
And today's my 4-year anniversary of living in Trinidad. So far.
Congratulations.
Living in southern Colorado.
Love it.
You know, even though I am up on a dirt road.
Well, that's all right.
$700 you made me.
No, it's funny you said they're great because honestly,
I just
I remember Miss Osborne and my 3rd grade teacher, and if I really tried hard, I might remember some of the others, but hers is
She
really,
sticks out.
yeah.
Oh, that's special. I love
Yeah.
my 3rd grade.
And when I was in high school, I dated her daughter.
Maybe that's why she sticks out.
I went to pick her up the first time and they went, "Boy, these houses so bad." How could we, all kids knew where her house was.
Yeah, just gonna go.
And I went in, Miss Boswell.
I don't know how to do
Oh
that.
my
Usually
God.
Tom
Oh
should be
dear,
around.
you're dating
Just
my
left.
daughter.
He's
That's
right
too
back.
funny.
He just walked, probably walked away.
Tom?
Okay, yeah.
Good night.
Oh, I
ladies.
we had some plans.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm in my moose's state of mind, so I
All
have to.
right, have a good night.
You guys walk in and out.
Nancy's gonna be sick.
Because, it's hurting it, yeah. Okay, thanks. Goodbye.
Every time I go,
New president, be authoritative. Just apologize, you're not being rude, but you have to keep it tight.
Yeah, you have to keep it tight.
well, I know you always wanna get going, so you just have to create the time for these meetings and just.
I don't even have an answer to that anymore. I don't. But
Well, there's just some things that I just want, because I think we should.
he knows this one. It wasn't a vacation, it was
Well,
anyway. Okay. Don't worry about it, goodbye.
so let me,